Hey, this is Jeff. Welcome back. Welcome to my video. This is another video in my Discovering Kelowna series. I have set myself the personal challenge of seeing all 203 Kelowna city parks and regional parks within the city limits within one calendar year. And it's going really well. I'm waiting to see if I have to suspend this project because of a pandemic-related lockdown, but until I do, I'm going to be out here checking things out. So this week, seen another part of Kelowna, seen some new parks in the area south of the Mission. So if you remember my video where I climbed up into Crawford, I showed how the Mission is basically on the delta of Bellevue Creek. And so after the falls, it opens up into a V-shaped plain. And in that other video, I climbed the North Ridge. And now we are here on the South Ridge. So we're going to climb up and see some areas on the south side in a new neighborhood called the Ponds, because there's a lot of ponds up there apparently. This is a neighborhood that's been developed about 15 years ago, so it's been slowly built in since then. So as a newer neighborhood, it was designed in a more conservationally minded style, right? So the streets are built to curve around the hills, and biodiversity hotspots are protected in parkland. So I'm pretty excited to see what's up there and see what they've saved and what's been lost and what kind of new things they have to show me. So it's all very exciting. I hope you come along and see what we have to see. Let's get to our first park. Hey, so here I am in my first park of the day. This is Quarry Park. I suspect it's called Quarry Park because it was named after Quarry Court, Quarry Avenue, but given the shape of the park, I suspect it might also have been a quarry at some point. This park is a nice big community park. A lot of people are able to be here and maintain their distance, or throwing balls to each other and walking independently. It's more than a neighborhood park. It's got a huge soccer field and a softball field. It's got a playground and a trail all around the whole thing. So it's a nice park for this whole area. It's located about halfway up the ridge. So on the one side of the park, on the south side, it's a huge steep hill. It's nice to see that the hill is filling in with some ponderosa pine trees that have grown up there in the last couple decades. And if you go to the top of the hill, you get an amazing view of Knox Mountain and downtown Kelowna and all sorts of things. So it's a good place, pretty fun. If you need a place to come and a nice spacious place to come and run around and you're in this area, Quarry Park. Hey, here I am coming to you from my second park of the day. This is Powerline Park. I hope you can hear me over the wind. It's a very windy day, but that's really fun. I love walking in the wind. It feels so interesting. It's it doesn't happen every day, so you got to get out there when it is happening. And the stronger, the better, right? Anyway, this is a cool park. This is a park, as you can see, that was built under power lines, and that is a great way to take a space where no one's going to build a house, where it's already been put aside for public use, and to provide a path, which honestly was probably already here before, where people can walk, people can bike, people can take their dog, and it's a natural fit for an instant recreational resource. So this is the same thing you can do with gas pipelines. If you remember a few months ago, I checked out some parks along a gas pipeline. So that's another way. Now, of course, there's limits. Sometimes you can't plant big trees. You can't have them grow up into the power lines. You can't have their roots grow down into the pipelines. But, this park has done a really good job of balancing, those two things. They've actually squeezed in a significant amount of habitat restoration. They've got ditches where water is collecting, and it's not just some kind of swale where they cut the grass. They've actually planted willows and pine trees around it. They've allowed the bulrushes to grow and everything. So I think this is a really fun park. It's about 10 years old. Now the power lines, of course, have been here longer than that, but this neighborhood's only about 15 years old. So once again, we see that neighborhood development and subdivision provides impetus for the city to put in some pretty nifty parks. So I'm having a good time, and I'm really glad I came to Powerline Park. Hey, so here I am coming to you for my third park of the week. This is Southridge Park. So this is a beautiful neighborhood park among the pines. Indistinguishable, I imagine, to a lot of people from the next park, which is going to be the Southridge detention pond and open space. So Southridge Park is actually just this little dell here with this playground. Yes, sign of the times, caution tape. Just this little nice dell. It's got a bench, it's got a picnic table. It's a nice place for kids in the neighborhood to come and play. It's in, like I said, this ponderosa pine forest. It's a beautiful spot. Behind me, the other way, up that way, look at those gorgeous rocks. Up that way, we're going to continue on into the Southridge Detention Pond open space. But for now, I'm stopping and checking out this beautiful oasis that is Southridge Park. Hey, so here I am in my next park for this week. This is, as promised, the Southridge Detention Pond and Open Space. It's not a very attractive name, but this is a beautiful park. This is a bit of a natural space that has been left in the midst of all this new and recent subdivision, as I said, for conservation purposes, but also to manage the stormwater. So there was already a valley here. It was already forested. This pond was already here. But now they've left it and they've directed the storm sewers to, I guess, fill it during the spring. So it's a lovely piece of habitat for birds and other creatures, lovely green corridor for people and animals to travel through. As you can see behind me, the pond that was here 20 years ago has turned into a bit of a meadow. But to my left, to the west of me, there are a couple of other ponds that are holding water from streets above. So another interesting thing about this park is that we're basically in a bit of forest that was spared from the 2003 wildfires, but you can see the hill behind me was burned. So in satellite photos I can see that up until those fires that was a forested hillside back there, and it got all burned and cleared of trees. And now I don't know if you can see in the picture, but some little ponderosa pine trees are coming back. So it's a place you can come and visit forest renewal and succession at work. Anyway, I've had a really good time here. It's not a highly well-used trail, but I've seen a few people out here walking their dogs and things. And it's a really peaceful place to go for a walk in the woods. The Southridge Detention Pond and Open Space. Hey, so here I am at the last park for this week. This is the Frost Road Open Space. So, like I said, when they develop these newer subdivisions, they leave hillsides and other places that are hard to build on, places that they need for stormwater retention. They leave them aside for conservation purposes and call them parkland, and that's great because it means a lot more parkland around for animals to wander through and things. Anyway, this park is really just a chunk of open space, just a chunk of wild habitat that's been left. There's no trails in it, there's no playground, there's no features. I don't even really see any illegal trails, although they're probably there. So it either hasn't been developed or maybe it'll never be developed, and that's fine. Maybe an open patch of wilderness is exactly what we need more of in our park system. You don't find pieces like this down in the older parts of Kelowna. So I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to have visited the Frost Road Open Space. If there's one thing this park does have, it's a view. Check it out. Starting to the west, there's West Kelowna. I don't know if you can see the outline of Mount Boucherie against the other mountains. If we go a little farther to the northwest, there is a rainstorm in Rose Valley. Looking up north, that's the north end of the lake, heading up towards Vernon. And then there in the middle distance, we see downtown Kelowna, still in the sunlight. Of course, beyond that is Knox Mountain and the Glenmore Highlands, and on the right is Dilworth. And then past the rooftops in front of us is the north ridge of the Bellevue ravine. And if you saw my video on that, I did climb up that whole hillside to Crawford, which is on top, and that whole hillside is a park, and it's a wonderful place to go for a walk. And then beyond that, we see the grassy slopes above the east side of Ellison, and of course, finally we see Black Mountain towering over the east side of Kelowna as usual. So this is definitely the best view I've had from this South Ridge of all the places I've been. You know, I saw some nice views up in the other open space. You can see some nice views from the spaces above Gordon Road. There's a nice viewpoint at the west end of the Southridge Park, but this is the best one by far. So if for nothing else, you can come to Frost Road Open Space for the view. Hey, so that was my walk for this week. I saw 5 parks. It was my first time in this part of the Upper Mission, in this new neighborhood. We are east of Kettle Valley, which is about 10 years older than this. In a future video, we'll go a little bit east of here and see the ponds, which is about 10 years newer than this one. So what did we see this week? We saw Quarry Park, which was halfway up the Southridge. We saw Powerline Park, which was a great long place to go for a walk. We saw Southridge Park, which was connected to the Southridge Detention Pond and Open Space, which was a beautiful slice of nature. And we came back and we saw the Frost Road Open Space. So 5 parks, not too far from each other, suggests some really nice loops. And if you live in this part of Kelowna, or if you don't mind driving up here, then there's lots of nifty things for you to explore. I hope you enjoyed what I was able to show you this week. I hope I inspired you to do some walking in your area or in Kelowna, if that's where you are. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you liked what you saw. Hit the like button and hit the notification bell if you want to see more of my videos, because I put one out every Friday for as long as I'll be able to. And there's lots more that I've already made that you can check out. So until then, I'll see you next Friday.